What's up, Docs Daily? It's me, Detroit Lenny, here, joined with Craig Trapp, Tony George on a Tuesday, March 10th. March? I can't believe we're already mid-March, basically. Mid-March here, we are live full effect Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Saturday, we're live at 11 a.m. Eastern, not 7 a.m. Eastern. For the love of God, not 7 a.m. Eastern. But don't forget about the free $60 account. Links in the description of the video. If you're looking for more free plays and stuff like that, check out the YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But the premium, the best of the best stuff is at the website, docsports.com/free60. That's where these guys give you more of a breakdown, a little bit more ranked plays. You can get, Tony George, king of like the 2, 3, 4 unit plays. He'll take you to the window every day consistently. Craig Trapp, what are you doing with your life? Tony George just wins. All he does is win.
Same old every day. I will say this. The difference between what we give in our videos isn't always that much different. You know what I mean? Like what we give in our videos versus what we give out to customers. But the difference is when you get on us and you commit to us in a subscription or even a day pass, is like you kind of see the magic behind what we do. And that's the unit plays. Like I can tell you 5 plays I like, but if you don't know which one I like the most and how you should bet them, it's like that doesn't really matter, because if we go 3 and 2 and you bet a little differently than I do, you might actually lose where I won really big because that was the one that won maybe was a higher unit play. So get in on the passes. This is the time of year right now, right?
Explanation too, by the way.
Let's see, a week won't get you, but it'll get you through the conference tournaments, which I think this is. We'll talk about it here more. This is super dangerous week. I know a lot of people that blow their bankroll before March Madness even starts because they think conference tournaments is just going to be a lot like the regular season. And Tony can tell you it can be madness. We just were talking about Florida. What's their motivation? There's a lot of other teams like that.
Yeah, I just did a conference preview. There's some handy. I know Nick Minka did the ACC. Someone's doing the Big Ten, and the other ones there. We kind of organized.
Yeah.
A task.
Look at us.
Organized a covert task force to do these Power 4 conferences, but I just did one in the SEC, and the number one thing I said was on there, you've got 12 teams in the top 50 in the SEC tournament. You've got 5 teams in the top 18. We're talking on the Ken Pom Power ratings.
Right.
And I'm telling you something, you lay in 5 or 6 or more points in any of these tournaments, especially past round 1, I'm not even willing to lay 12.5 with Trapp's Bearcats today here in Kansas City.
That's scary. You've
got to be careful. I don't give a rat's ass if Cincinnati went into Lawrence, Kansas and beat Kansas a month ago. It doesn't make a difference to me. You got to be careful. And if you're not looking for reasons to take, if you're laying over 5.5 or 6, when you get knee deep in these tournaments, like Gonzaga tonight laying 7.5, you're asking for trouble. You're gonna lose more than you're gonna win. So you gotta, sometimes it's a big pill. You need to swallow it and go, God, that's an ugly dog. But you know what? Look what Northern Iowa did in the Mo Valley. Look what Drake did.
Look at Detroit Mercy in the Horizon League.
Yeah, but Wright State's going to get them tonight.
A lot of people today.
I took the points and the over. I'm on the points and the over in that game. That's what I like in that game.
Look at this early game in the Big 12. Right as we're speaking, Arizona's winning by, I think, 8 against Baylor. The news kind of snuck out that it really wasn't so much news that Bobby Hurley's – they didn't renew his contract. That was in the offseason. So that was a pretty much kiss of death unless he had an unbelievable year. They did beat Kansas just recently. But they're winning today. People were like, no way. The news is he's out. It's like, dude, these players are playing for where they're going next. Like, they still want to win.
It's an audition.
Yeah, exactly. So just be careful. Just because coaches are sneaking out, getting fired, or teams – the Cincinnati game is scary because, yes, they need to win probably 3, maybe got to win the whole tournament. So and they've been playing good, and people are like, because of that, I'm going to take Cincinnati today. Tony just said that is a ton of points in conference action. And they're playing on the first day for a reason. You know what I mean? Like they're in the first round for a reason. Yeah. So not that Utah's great, but
yeah, a lot of these schools, they hit just like what Northern Iowa did, just like what Drake did. Drake was 1-9 straight up in ATS going into that tournament, and they put up 100 points out of nowhere in the first round. I think it was Indiana State, and then they came back and beat the number 1 seed Belmont. The way they look at it is the way I look at it after a 0-4 day or a 4-0 day in picking games. When I get up in the morning, you're 0-0. You're 0-0. And a lot of these teams, that's their reset. We're 0-0 going in here. Let's spoil somebody's party. And these seniors don't want to go out getting the last thing the seniors on the Utah Utes want to do is get blowed out by Cincinnati. They won the tournament by 25 points. They're going to go in there and play their ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on top of it, Cincinnati, if they get up big, guess what? They're playing tomorrow. So they're not like they're going to try to play guys less minutes if they're up like 9 or 10 late comfortably. And all of a sudden now you don't cover because you're not pushing anymore. So that next day up kind of thing always keeps it in. I think I just did a video on the Santa Clara Gonzaga game. I think that is fascinating because now Santa Clara was the last 4 in before they won. Now they're comfortably in because if you lose, it's a quad 1 win they had yesterday. This would be a quad 1 loss or win no matter what happens today. Are they going to be like trying to win the championship? Or are they just happy to be there? Like that's fascinating. I like the over in that game. I think it's going to be an absolute shootout. I think Santa Clara knows if it's half court, they're going to lose. It's not quite as talented.
I think we all agree that this week you should tread lightly. There's no reason. I even said it in the video I did earlier. I was like, listen, there's no reason to shoot our wad here. It's just because it's March Madness tournament play. We got a week to get right before the big tournament, so to speak. So tread lightly. But then I turned around and laid all of the wood with BYU. And I don't like any of it. I think it's ugly as hell. And I laid 10.5. So I said all of that in the video. I did. I swear. If you watch
Degenerate Lenny.
If you're a member of the Crazy Detroit Lenny, you follow along for $5 a month. You got 3 college basketball plays today. And I preached for 3 minutes not to go hog wild day 1 of it. And then I said BYU minus 10.5. So it is what it is. I'm on Detroit Mercy. Somebody else said that in the chat. Detroit Mercy, Portland State money line. I know Scott says, by the way, what a motley crew we have today. This is every Tuesday. This is the best show on during the week.
Our beef from that got to doubt our integrity.
Yeah, listen here, Scott. Miami, Ohio, right? But
when's that game? A MAC must start tomorrow.
Yeah.
The MAC starts tomorrow.
Give me Akron. Give me Akron to
Akron
win.
to win.
Saying it for a month. Akron wins this
I think Akron not only wins the tournament, I think they can win a game, maybe even 2 in the tournament. They're really good. If Miami, Ohio, they had 8 1 or 2 point wins. If those switch, just say usually half go one way, half go the other, and you end up with 4 or 5 losses. First of all, they'd have to win the tournament to get in, just like Akron, and they wouldn't be in, automatically in. But everybody will be talking about Akron. Everybody will be talking about Akron because they've been the best team outside of that one loss they had against Miami. So I do like Akron.
MAC starts Thursday, by the way. Thursday. It starts Thursday.
That's right, because only the 8 teams.
4 games. Yeah.
Only the top 8 teams get in, which I think we're going to start to see more. We saw it in the ACC this year where not everybody made it. And, of course, Damon Stoudemire got fired because he finished last in the league. There's going to be more, which I hate because I used to be – every team was really in the tournament. You just had to win your conference tournament. Now that's not the case. Not everybody gets in their conference tournament. So I guess if you're in the power conferences, you had your chance in the regular season to.
Right.
But in the smaller conferences, everybody gets in because obviously – other than the MAC said, screw you.
I wouldn't count Kent State out of the MAC either. Kent State's just, I don't know what it is.
They beat, though. Kent State just beats up on all the lesser teams in the MAC, which is fine. But you're going to have to beat Miami, Ohio, and Akron are the top 3 teams in the league. And then Kent State. And Kent State just beat up on those other teams. So it's like, not saying they can't, because in a one-game format, that's the greatest thing about college basketball and March Madness is you could be the best team all year long. Virginia, number 1 seed, you lose. Then the next year they come back, win it all. It's just that's the greatness of
welcome
March
college basketball March Madness, right?
What's his name? Gus Johnson, the guy, the announcer. Oh my God! That's why.
I know you're talking about.
We're all like that for 1 week of the year. Like we're watching these, like that first, the round of 64 and the round of 32. It's unbelievable.
What was that? Kevin Harlan. I forgot
who
it was. that was just.
Was it with Stan Van Gundy and somebody else, right?
Yeah, he's the best announcer in basketball. I mean, he's the best announcer in football. I love him, Kevin Harlan. That game a couple years ago, that first round upset, and he just like they showed him on the sideline. And he was like shoving his guys, going, "Did we just see that? Did that just happen?" And, you know, he's a fan. That's March Madness, man, and it's going to be. It's hard to find a Cinderella nowadays because of the nil and everything else that's going on, but hopefully we have enough. We usually one a year. I'm looking for one. It'll be interesting when you see how the brackets lay out. But, you know, I was looking at this SEC tournament, and folks, we're breaking these down every day, the SEC with a recap and a free pick, and I did a futures preview. It was interesting. I just wanted to touch on this with Craig. As I was breaking this down, you've got 5 teams in the top 18 in the power rankings. But what's interesting is Florida on a neutral floor is 9 points better on power ratings than any other team in the conference. That is an amazing stat. I mean, yeah, you won 16 out of 18 conference games.
They're murdering teams, too. They're murdering teams.
Yeah, and
like how much they won by double digits with nothing to play for at Rupp Arena. I mean, Rupp Arena is one of the tougher environments. Yeah. Last game of the year, senior night, you secured everything. Like you have the conference tournament next week. It was like that was the game you thought if they were going to have a letdown, that would be a huge letdown. No,
they're extremely well coached. I mean, they're so good inside. They're great in transition. They just do everything very well. You know, again, they're the returning national champions. They beat Tennessee in this title game last year. And Tennessee, unfortunately, drew them in the bracket. So, Tennessee, I'm not a Rick Barnes fan. I could go on for that for hours. If you can't win the Big 12 and you got Kevin Durant on your team coach at Texas, you're a bad coach. I mean, that's just the bottom line. He's not a good in-game coach like these other guys, but
it is in Nashville, though. It is in Nashville, so you got to think Tennessee, Vandy, and then Kentucky brings. You know, this is about 4 hours from Lexington. I think they'll bring half the arena.
Everybody.
I went down and saw Vandy play Missouri in person. It's a 2-hour drive. I went down for that game. I wasn't impressed. Vandy had one guy. I think Missouri beat him, but I mean,
Missouri beat everybody at home.
Missouri was equally as good as them. And we're talking about a power ranked team just outside of the top 50. They were better. They were as good as Vanderbilt, as good as them. And did Vandy have a great game? Not exactly. But, you know, a team
that's what Missouri does
that high. You know.
Missouri at home, though, like if they played every game at home,
they're tough.
I mean, they did lose to Arkansas without a cup, though, to finish the year. It was like, man, that's just how college basketball goes. You set your best player, and then you win at Missouri, which I think Missouri only had 1, maybe 2 losses before that at home, and they were real close. So I would not want to be any coach in the SEC anymore because it's absolute a gauntlet. There's so many teams, and that's the way it is in the ACC. But the ACC is way top heavy. Like it's Duke and everybody else is like. I mean, it's you know, everybody else's little brother. That, even as good as Florida is, if you'd have told me Alabama beats them by 10, I would not be shocked. If you told me, you know, Arkansas gets hot, even though they killed them earlier this year, or Vandy, or one of these teams, I would not be shocked because these are good quality teams, like you said, that are going to end up being top 4 or 5 seeds in the tournament. Yeah,
I think Alabama's the dark horse there, but you know, the problem with them is they don't play any defense, and they need to shore that up. Maybe they will.
They just want to run.
They can score with anybody. The Big Ten's the same way. I mean, at the beginning of the year, you would think it would be Michigan and everybody else, but the Big Ten's got 4 or 5 teams that can win it, including these guys.
Win it, yes. Win the conference tournament, yes. I will say I don't have a whole lot of faith outside of Michigan as far as like winning the championship this year. And I'm talking about the national championship. Conference tournaments are just so much different because it's, you know, you got to play every day. And you're going to have Michigan, they have a week off, basically. That is a
Michigan State wins that tournament. And I'll tell you why. Because they have no reason to win it. Like it's just obscene. It's
they absurd. Have the greatest.
We're going to bet $100 bill that my Huskers finish better than your Sparty in the tournament. right now on the
high
air.
five, bam, high
What
five.
are
five.
the two best?
There it is.
Who are the two best
official,
coaches?
folks.
Who are the two best coaches, tournament coaches in the Big Ten? One of them plays today, Dana Altman. Like that dude in tournament play. Remember when they had no business to win their Pac-12 tournament? They did won a couple games in the tournament. People are like calling for his head. It's like, dude, he had the senior point guard that if he's there, they're a top 5 or 6 team in the league, but he has not been there. For the entire Big Ten season. The big kid missed more than half the year as well. The other guard missed a bunch of times. So he's going to be back. But he plays today. I think they win today, by the way, a little. I think they win.
I like Oregon today.
I do. Their big kids, I think, are going to dominate that game. And the second best coach, we've seen it. Tom Izzo during tournament play is just a difference. Like as great as he is in the regular season, he just turns it up. He pulls the race.
I don't even think he's a different animal. He's just a freaking great coach all the time. I mean,
but in the tournament, and I always say in the NCAA tournament, he gets away from playing the Big Ten where people don't know him as well. And if you're not used to playing the way that style, boy, it is tough, especially if you play them like on the Friday or Saturday or on the Saturday or Sunday games where you only have one day to prepare for them. And you had a tough game in the first one where you really had to just focus on that. That is a tough environment to play Tom Izzo because it's a meat grinder. It is a meat grinder when you play them.
So, I went up to the Nebraska-Michigan State game in Lincoln this year. We beat them by 2, I think. 1 or 2.
Right at the end. It missed the free throw, right? The big kid missed the free throw.
Wildest thing I'd ever seen in Lincoln. I mean, I've never seen a Nebraska, quote-unquote, basketball arena that rabid. And they're buying in with Hoiberg. And they
they signed a 3-year extension, I read, right?
Nebraska, they'll beat you. Hell, we had Michigan on the ropes in Ann Arbor the entire game.
Without your best big kid, right?
Minus 4 players because of the flu, including 2 starters, and Mast was one of them. And we led the entire game till the last minute 30 and lost by 3. I mean, they can play with anybody. It's going to be a very interesting, number one, SEC tournament, very interesting Big Ten tournament. And you wonder how much they're going to drain the tank to try and win those things. That's the thing.
That's another thing. Motivation. How much does the conference tournament matter to some of these teams?
Got a number 1 seed. Florida's got a number 1 seed.
Right.
Duke's got a number 1 seed. I mean, do they care? I don't know.
And Arizona, I don't think. I would say this: if Florida doesn't win the SEC and UConn wins, and it's St. John's that they beat, I think they have an argument to get back to the 1 seed. But I don't think Florida cares, to be honest. I think they're just like, we're going to play our best. If we get the number 1 seed, that's great. They're like, we are playing our best basketball right now. So as long as we're healthy in the tournament, I would say UConn probably feels the same way. I mean, they are the 2-time champs in the last 4 years. So it's not like they have a couple guys still from those teams and a great coach. I would say I think Arizona needs to win the Big 12 tournament, though, in my opinion, mentally, because where they were, I mean, they were the best team in the country when they hit to Kansas, and then Peterson decides not to play after warming up, to look fine in warmups. He didn't play, and then they lose that game. Since then, they've played good, they played bad, but it doesn't look like quite the same team. If you win the Big 12 tournament, though, dude, their confidence will be riding high. So of the teams that are the top teams, I think that's the one that would maybe mean the most. But Tony, congratulations, Tony. I see they signed Hoiberg for a 3-year extension. That was big because I thought, dude, if you're, you go into this offseason, we know how basketball is, and they throw some money, and the buyout's not that big, maybe he would leave, but obviously he wants to be there, and that's
his family, his wife likes it there. He's from the Lincoln area to begin with, and did, then of course Iowa State guy, all that, but. They love living up there. Matt Rule loves living there. Lincoln's a great town. If you've never been to Lincoln, go check it out. I was going to throw out a quick one here tonight, get your feedback. I was impressed with Florida International, that win over Western Kentucky. They're catching a point tonight against Missouri State. I'd lean Florida International in that game tonight. I like it there.
The more I looked at that game, the more I was like, dang. You always try to find.
That's why I'm giving it out for free, dude, for discussion.
That one scares the shit out of me. Shit out of me because look at the records, you look at their metrics, they're very tight. very tight games. I thought the one game I thought tonight that I didn't play that I wish I would have, so it was like my next play, Monmouth tonight. People don't realize Monmouth, they had that guard that was out. I still don't. The more I read about it, I don't understand. Early February, they put him back. The only games they lost were the top two teams. Those two teams are no longer in the tournament. And since then, he's been averaging like 23 points a game and just playing great basketball. They're an underdog tonight. I think a lot of it is because people don't realize this kid wasn't on the team for 2.5, 3 months. He was practicing, but the NCAA held him out for some sort of reason. And then they finally cleared him. And then all of a sudden, look what they've done. And you're getting points tonight. I think it's going to be a tight game.
Fair. Somebody said in the chat, did you know Herb's going to Santa Clara? Or from Santa Clara, he's going to Providence?
I didn't hear that. I mean, I watched the game last night. I didn't hear anything last night. I mean, maybe that's behind the I know Herb Sintek pretty well.
Scott knows people in college.
He was at Miami, Ohio. And then what was it? NC State. He went to NC State, I think, and didn't work out there. And then he's done a very good job. Santa Clara hadn't made the tournament in 30 years since they made the tournament. So all those good players that have came from Santa Clara, there's several that have been. Obviously, Steve Nash is the most prominent one. But they're going to be in the tournament, and it sounds like they won't be in the playing game, which I always say. It's like the kiss of death. You get in the tournament, and then you have to play on Tuesday. So you find out on Sunday. Then you have to be there either on Tuesday or Wednesday in Dayton, if that would have been a tough travel for them. So I'm hoping they don't put them in, because that would mean there would be 3 teams from the West Coast Conference for the first time in like a decade. Obviously, St. Mary's is going to be in. I thought they played great last night. Santa Clara played better. I still don't know what to do about Gonzaga, Tony. They were great early in the year, but since then –
There 7.5's too many points in that game. I mean, this is the first year in 8 years I have not been to this championship game. I've lived in Vegas for 8 years. I went every year to the West Coast Conference tournament. Always got tickets from a buddy of mine who did some work. Tip of the cap to Matt Holt. But nonetheless, I think it's too many. I watched both those games last night. Last 3 times I watched Gonzaga, I was not impressed. Of course, St. Mary's got them there at the end of the season, in there. And they have some weaknesses. I just think 7.5 in the championship game's too many. And I was duly impressed with Santa Clara last night. St. Mary's is a very good basketball team and extremely well coached.
Well, St. Mary's is built. St. Mary's is built to beat Gonzaga. They beat them, 6 of the last 9 times or something. It's outside of that, they do struggle a little bit, especially when you have 5 days to prepare for them. And, they beat up on a lot of teams in their conference that don't have the athletes that these other bigger conferences do. So if they end up playing, which they probably will end up being like a 6 or 7 seed. So now you're playing, like a middle of the rung SEC school that is just athletically more talented, played a lot better teams. That seems to be tough matchups for them. So interesting.
I just think Santa Clara, the motivation here, we're already in, so the pressure's off. But what a better motivator. This is Gonzaga's last game in the West Coast Conference. How would it be that we beat them in the final West Coast Conference game they ever played in before going to the newly formed Pac-12? I think Santa Clara would love to have that title. I think it's going to be a tight game.
Crazy that they decided, because supposedly UConn and Gonzaga had an option to go in basketball only into the Big 12, and both UConn they want to be in football too, and be full-fledged partner, which they were just not willing to do. Obviously, the Big 12 big guys were not going to give the same money to UConn, and Gonzaga did not want to go into the Big 12, which was like you imagine that basketball conference. You would have put those two in there. It would have been. But Gonzaga, I think they like kind of dominating their conference, and I still think that new Pac-12 they'll still dominate that conference basketball.
Yeah.
So
that Few's a good coach, good recruiter.
I mean, you want to know why he's good? Look at Tommy Floyd this was his 20-year assistant, and look what he's done at Arizona. He's only won since he's been there. So when you have really good coaches that come under and stay for a long time like they did, I mean, Gonzaga, that is a great place of the country. When you like it, you love it, kind of place to live. So I think Tommy Floyd, it took a lot of convincing for him to even go to Arizona because he loved where he lived. But it's obviously worked very well for both still. So what do you think, Tony, Wake and Virginia Tech today? These are two very like teams, except Virginia I thought beginning of the year, I thought Tech was going to be terrible and Wake Forest would have a better year. It's really reversed.
Well, the Calmise, when he went out for Wake Forest, that really took a lot out of them. He was their floor general. You take a look at that game. So what we have to compare to now when we're handicapping these tournaments is most of these teams have seen each other twice. And you could take something away from those, those regular season conference games. These two split 1-1. But bear in mind, the last time they played, VT beat them 82-63. And here's the caveat on the first game that Virginia Tech lost. That was the next game after they played a 3-0 win against in-state Virginia. It was a letdown spot for them. 3 overtimes to beat. By the way, Virginia's a really good basketball team. And Virginia Tech beat them in 3 OTs, and they had 19 turnovers on the road and still only lost by 3. Then they turn around with revenge, beat them by 19 about, 3 weeks ago. I got news for you. I think Virginia Tech rolls them. 2.5 is a short number.
Virginia Tech needs to win, I think, 3 games again. And they look like and it was close against they'd already beat Virginia once. If they would have beat them again last time out, I think they probably would have been at least right on the bubble. If they would win this game, they'd be in.
Right.
Now I think they need to win a few games, so there's a lot of motivation. I think that's a dangerous thing that, we got to win.
Well, Wake can't win. Yeah, but Wake can't hit from the outside. That's their problem. They are very weak on the perimeter, and VT can light it up. If they're hitting shots, they can win that by 8 or 10 points.
Somebody wants to know Siena. Someone's actually texted me. One of my customers was watching this, but texted me. Put it in the comments. But Siena, Merrimack tonight. Siena, one of the interesting things, that's Jerry McNamara, the old, the guy that won the tournament with the Carmelo Anthony's team. He was an assistant coach at Syracuse. He took this job. And now with Syracuse, supposedly going to move on from their coach. A lot of people think that's if they can give Jerry McNamara the job, I think he needs to get in the tournament. Because if you get in the tournament, it's just like, it's like a positive, and now you're hiring a guy to bring him back home. So I think it's I'm going to take Siena. They've played really, really good down the stretch here. They're an underdog. They deserve to be an underdog, but I think you take them tonight.
They're senior-laden lineup, been together almost 4 years. They got the conference player of the year in Justice Schultz, really good player. Dottie's no joke either. I think this should be more of a pick 'em. The 3.5 is a good number. If you want to know the truth, I got them as a 2-unit play on my premium 5-play card tonight.
Yeah,
I think
when it came out at 3.5, and then it's moved a little back to 3 in some spots. So I think you're getting some buyback for a reason. I hope he wins, because I think it would be a good story for him to go back. I think you need if he goes back there, I think he can bring Syracuse back to prominence, because right now let's be honest, they just
it was Cuse. They didn't fire their coach yet. He's just lame ducking it right now, because they're probably going to get beat up by SMU in that opener.
Well, I mean, SMU, since they lost their best player, they haven't won a game. So it's like, I will say tonight, if Syracuse doesn't keep that close, they should definitely fire their coach, because SMU has been terrible this last few games. So you're catching a team without their best player playing terribly. They're playing far from home.
Like Oklahoma State did the same thing as they did. Lost to one of their best players, and now they're playing like shit.
It's people think because the NIL you have this great depth. You actually don't, because you lose those kids that you're not getting enough playing time. They go to the smaller schools to be the stars a lot of times. So you just don't have the depth that you think you're going to have. Because people are like, the NIL, all these great teams. Look at Kentucky. Early in the year, their point guard went down. I mean, they lost like 4 or 5 games or 4 or 6 games. And all of a sudden he comes back, they started playing better. It's like, were you telling me Kentucky at $22 million is what it came out yesterday, I think. That's $22 million is what their NIL is this year at Kentucky.
Unreal.
And they're barely going to make the tournament. It's like, that's why it's just, you just think you can spend money and win. That just,
but isn't that, I mean,
that's a big number,
but that's like peanuts to them. That's not a lot of money to them.
That is a lot of money compared to the others. The SEC, rest of SEC. No, the rest of the SEC schools spending like 8 to 9. I think it's the average. So it's like, it's triple.
Dude,
Arkansas spends a lot.
90% of the Division I football teams don't have $20 million in nil money to throw around.
I just feel
We're
like
talking
these
about a
schools
goddamn
got
basketball team.
Ohio State, when they won the championship 2 years ago or a year and a half ago now, it was, I think there was just 21 million or 25 million or something. So you're basically for what, 4 times the number of athletes you have to pay for. So it's
yeah,
crazy.
I guess. Yeah, I do.
Look at hey, you want to know who's up there? And it's because they pay one guy like 7 or 8 million, but BYU, because DeBonsa makes like a ridiculous amount of money.
The Mormons got money.
Well, I'm just saying, just because you pay guys and you have these huge payrolls, I mean, they're talking about being like 8, 9, 10 seeds. So it's like, just because you pay guys doesn't mean you're absolutely going to be good. So be careful there.
Hey, real quick, halftime of the Baylor-Arizona State game. Arizona State's up by 9, 44-35.
Playing for Hurley.
Yeah,
they're playing for Hurley.
And Scott Drew has just had a tough year.
And live bet right now.
Baylor's year. I am the Baylor of handicappers in college basketball this year. Now, I'm using it's not been my year. Hasn't been. I've been very transparent, but I hit the reset during March Madness. We're 0-0 today, and we're rolling. But yeah,
I just want to take January. If I could just have January, just throw out rest of my college basketball season. January I was like 80%. Rest of the season, I basically just throw those losses down the drain.
February,
and I haven't had a lot of top plays.
Like mediocre. I wasn't negative in February, but I wasn't like. I think I finished like maybe
it's the shortest month
ahead. Like I've treaded water. That's all I was doing.
35 years of doing this. I've known Craig for 20 of them.
Yeah.
You always have your worst year ever. You have to have a worst year.
Yeah.
Whatever franchise you on, the Tony George franchise, this has been my worst year ever in college basketball. I fully admit it, and I have to make wholesale changes, and I guess I need to adapt better with the times and this, that, and the other, and get myself a $100,000 algorithm so I can figure it out. But nonetheless, I have one of those years. But nice thing about tournament time, experience does count in handicapping these because it's a totally different animal than the regular season. And we'll find some advantages and finish strong and save a little face so my ass isn't hanging out in the wind totally.
Well, I think
tournament time is 0-0 right now. Okay, new season today.
Right.
The NIL has changed the first month of the season. That's really because of the wholesale changes at every team and so many teams playing in these big money tournaments now, basically what they are, that it just really changes the way we have to look at handicapping the first month. I always played low. I always do play low, but even more so this year where, there was days I just didn't have plays because I'm like, I have no clue what's going on these teams.
Yeah.
I need to see them. I'm more of a visual guy. I need to see the teams, and then kind of understand where these numbers are coming from, not just look at the numbers. I know a lot of guys in fact, a lot of guys, probably a half of guys in our industry only do it by the numbers.
Yeah. And I was going to say, you hit on a great point. Yes, sabermetrics and algorithms and spitting out a bunch of numbers, comparisons, and a number gets spit out. And what's the overlay against the spread? All that works. I get it. It works. But this time of year, you got to go. The eye test means a lot.
Yeah.
You just eye test some team. We'll find out if I'm wrong. But just like I mentioned Vanderbilt earlier, I watched them play. They did not pass the eye test at all.
No.
Now, Missouri at home, they're a beast. But, and another team you brought up earlier, Craig, Gonzaga, they haven't passed the eye test this year.
Fair.
Yeah. Well, I would say the reason why I won yesterday,
your algorithm doesn't have.
That's right.
You see them pretty eyes over there, Tony George? Go ahead, bat those baby blues at those. They're great. Whatever, I can't see. But that's what your algorithm cannot factor in. You guys all geeking out over college basketball. I'm figuring out which parlay to hit on the USA Italy team in the World Baseball Classic, and I'm degenerating on NHL all day.
Well,
there's that.
When you get to this point of the year and you're a capper like me that basically needs to see the teams, the first game I watched this year was Santa Clara at Xavier. I had Xavier. They absolutely, and it was Patino's one of his first game, his son's first games that they're at Xavier. wasn't supposed to be a terrible Xavier team. And I mean, dismantled them. It was never, ever close. They were up 10 or more the whole game. And I put that in the back of my head for a lot. I played them a couple times this year, not a lot, Santa Clara in conference play. And then last night, I was like, I broke it out. I was like, dude, that team is a road warrior. They're going to go, and it came true. So sometimes it's like as far as old school handicapping, you kind of put that, and it took, 3.5 months it took for that to pay off. And then that paid off last night. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have a big play in it because, like you said, I had a terrible February, so I'm like been gun shy. Yeah. The old Craig would have been a 7 unit last night.
Oh, yeah.
Anything you guys like in the NBA tonight? I mean, I know we talked a lot about college basketball, but
11 games tonight.
There's a big slate on tonight. I mean,
I think the NBA is smart. They're like, I think they're loading up this week and early in the week because they don't want to go against the conference tournaments. And then next week, of course, the tournament. This is how about the toilet bowl? The toilet bowl game.
The Pistons and the Nets.
Yeah, it's like the Pacers and the Kings. I mean, these are teams that are actively trying to tank. They both have 15 wins. So the winner here will most likely, this game could decide who finishes above the other one. I think the Kings are just dumb enough to win this game. So I'm going to take the Kings -3.5.
I like
the Kings are dumb enough to win this game.
What do you think about that Boston-San Antonio game? San Antonio laying 3 in that game right now. Opened up at 3.5, and then dropped down to 2.5. And DraftKings has it at 2.5 right now.
The Spurs have been giant killers. They're 4-1 or 3-1.
I like the Spurs. I like the Spurs at home.
Who's a better team defensively? Like their defense is like that Castle guy. He basically won them that championship that year at UConn as a freshman. I mean, his defense he didn't score a lot, but he's just a grindy guy, and man, he fits great on that team. Yeah. And Wemby, for his little you get him, he looks, but he wants to beat the best. And Jason Tatum and Brown I think they win tonight and cover. So, but it is Tatum's 13 back. Yeah, I like the Spurs. Tatum's 13 back.
Bear in mind, they were the #1 offensive team rated the month of February in the NBA. The second rated team, Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, Hornets have been shooting the heck out of the ball. The Knuckle kid, I don't know if he'll win the Rookie of the Year. He should. Because Cooper hasn't played as much, and I think they would like to lose, so they might not play him as much. So I hope Knuckle will get it, which is funny that it's the Duke versus Duke guys. I mean, he's broke Steph Curry's rookie record for threes already, like about 2 weeks ago. So he's setting records. He's going to end up in the top 5 all time.
Great prop bet too.
Oh,
I've been betting him on props. I've hit him a bunch of times. They'll sit it at 17.5, 18.5. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Even over on his threes. He's setting records. And over under on threes, -2.5 at -130. I'm like, I'll take it.
I'll take it. I'll take 2, please.
They've been the best team in the East.
I think you may have another.
They went from down. They were under 500 by 10 or 12 games like a month ago. All of a sudden, they're 500. It's like they are been on a tear, and they beat Boston at Boston. And Boston had been playing great basketball, and they murdered them. And it's not like it was a fluke. They killed them.
How good are they playing? They're off back-to-back losses, and that's the first time that's happened to them in 3 months.
They're still favored
That's how bad they sucked earlier in the season.
I like them, but I do think they're kind of blowing their wad right now in the regular season. That I think they got to stay up they got to keep going because they're going to end up playing either the Knicks, the Cavs, or the Pistons, and I just think that it's like
what the hell
unless they can get them.
What the hell happened to the Knicks over the weekend? And they got beat again last night.
Well, the LA has not been good to them. They probably can't wait to get out of town.
Jesus.
I will say this: the Clippers are playing
again without Lakers, without James on Sunday. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of doing well in the NBA. I think if we hit 3 out of our last 4, I put a big top play out on the Knicks in that game. They never got off the friggin' bus.
I was with you. What are the Clippers doing though? Like, dude, they've won enough games now where they're going to be in the play-in game. Dude, you need draft picks because As good as Kawhi Leonard is, he's 8,000 years old. He's always
You need to
injured.
be tanking every game.
Yes. Like,
But
they're
they
not
won't.
winning at all. No, they're not. And they keep winning. They keep
They're
winning.
500 ball club. And
I love the
you know,
over
the
last night.
500 ball club does not get you anything. You either need to win or tank. That's what the NBA is.
There's 5 teams that they're winning.
I don't know what he's thinking. He wants to win.
I would say this. The Clippers, they're going to mess around and end up being the 7th seed. Won't even have to play in the play-in tournament.
Yeah.
Like, it's very possible if you look where they are in the standings. All the bottom 5 or 6 teams in the West, the Warriors without Steph Curry have really struggled. They're big favorite tonight with facing the Bulls team in a back-to-back. They lost at Utah last night. They rested guys last night so that they could play tonight. I'm like, dude, you're not good enough to rest guys. You're not.
Well, you want to play in the because I love fading teams that on a back-to-back that played in the altitude the night before and then have to travel. Now it's hard, but can you take the Bulls at 6.5 and feel good about it? They suck too.
They're trying to lose. They're doing a good job.
They're
of
trying
losing.
to tank.
They've lost 12 of their last 13, or 12 of the last 13, or 13 of the last 14. They are actively trying to lose.
I'm watching Josh Giddey play. He's tearing it up. All of a sudden, they just sit him.
Yeah. I had Keontae George last night.
I got the Nets on the money line tonight.
I go, they're trying to purposely lose. So
you can't play props.
6.5 on the road?
You should be able to play props first 3 quarters only, because now they set them in the fourth quarter. I had Keontae George yesterday. He had 15 going into the fourth quarter, did not play a minute, and they won. He did not play a minute in the fourth quarter. He's their best player, especially with the big kid out. So it's like, I'm like, dude, I should have cashed this, and I lose because they didn't play him. This is bullshit. Bullshit.
This is bullshit.
Bullshit. But I do think Warriors tonight, Porzingis is back tonight. Porzingis is back. Right. He rested last night, Porzingis. I kind of thought Porzingis props tonight because this, I think, is second or third game back, but they rested last night. So, they kind of win. So
that son of a bitch is hurt or resting every other game.
I don't understand what he has. He's not hurt. He's got some kind of illness or something. I was trying to read up about it, and even Curry, if you read, or Steve Kerr, came out and said something, and then he was like, "I apologize. I didn't mean to say that," because they didn't. He spoke out of you're not supposed to talk about the
that guy has made more money in the NBA by not playing than any other player in the history of the NBA.
All right, so listen, I got some breaking news for the NFL. First of all, the rich get richer with the Chiefs getting Kenneth Walker III.
Oh, congratulations.
You got a dog from Michigan State.
What is Seattle doing there?
A dog. I don't know what Seattle's doing. They got a ring. They're good for a couple years. That's, I think, how they.
It wasn't a lot of money either. It wasn't
But hey, that guy's a dog, man. But my Lions, maybe the first good. I don't know what. I don't know. YouTube cover yours. I don't know what the fuck is going on. The Detroit Lions. Brad Holmes is just letting people walk away. But they did just sign your guy Pachenko to pair up with Jamar Gibbs. So
that's a good pickup.
Well, we did lose David Montgomery, who, by the way, I haven't talked about this with very much Lion stuff because, it's basketball season. But David Montgomery was my favorite Lion. I'm just telling you right now. I felt like he was a dog. And
Jeffco hadn't been the same player since he blew out that knee, though. He's not the same player.
I just need him to be a little bit.
I know for what they're going to use him for, he'll be good.
I think. But listen, we also need an offensive line in Brad Holmes. If you're watching this, I want you to go to the mirror. I want you to reach down between those big thighs of yours. Just reach down, see if you got anything. Sign somebody, for Christ's sake.
Well, that's the nice thing about being a Lions fan and a Chiefs fan is we got a hell of a lot more to look forward to than a Bengals fan.
What are you talking about? Joe Burrow played blackjack with Jessica Alba, and it's like first page news because they're like, as his new girlfriend. It's
he's like, that was front page news. He's in Vegas playing blackjack with Jessica Alba.
I'm like, that's how good Joe Burrow is. Is like, dude,
I thought she was married to Timberlake. Or they did.
No, that's Alba? Jessica Biel. That's Jessica Biel.
Oh, I get them mixed. I can't keep track of it.
But I'd take either one. Yeah. But I will say this: the Bengals have signed 3 players, all defenders. They need that. They need Now we need like 8 more. We just need 8 more to go along with them. So we're not that far
And
away.
no one's
the
signed
Bengals
your
being rated the worst team by the players.
Second worst.
Facilities. Second worst, same difference.
We're
But
usually
I'm
worse.
just saying that's bad.
What do you think? What do you think about Willis going to Miami? He's going to be there.
I love it.
Willis.
I love it. I think that's good for Miami.
I like
it's
Tua
good get
going
away
to
from
Atlanta
Tua.
better. I like Tua going to Atlanta. I think he's going to win that starting job. I think Tua will be the starting quarterback in Atlanta Falcons.
Are you high right now?
I think he's better than Penix, and Penix is obviously coming off a knee injury too. So
they're the same person, except
where
Penix
he
is a
injured
foot
his
taller.
where he injured his knee at that late of the season, he probably won't be 100% ready.
Right.
So Tua will get probably the chance to win that job for the first couple games.
Can I tell you a concern? I'm concerned
They put
Kyler
him
Murray
out to
goes to
free
Minnesota.
When they put him out to free agency to pick up his contract, too, and not one team called.
No.
Why?
They all messaged him on
because
Call
you
of
knew
Duty.
they were going to cut him.
You
knew 100% they were going to cut him. So it's like, why pay something when you can get him for basically nothing? And Atlanta basically paid him nothing because he was making all that money on the buyout that he had from the last team. So it's a good win for him, and he's going to be that guy. If you go do well there and they don't re-sign you, he'll break the bank in free agency the next year.
The Raiders are making moves on their offensive line. Obviously, they're going to draft that Mendoza kid. They got the best center in the league.
They signed a good center.
The Raiders are trying to actually. I mean, they parlayed Max Crosby into a couple picks, so hopefully they don't fumble.
That was a good move.
Unintended.
That was a good move.
I'm
for
really
them.
concerned. Kyler Murray comes to the indoor Vikings and plays my Lions and just throws it deep to Justin Jefferson.
There's no way they're signing him. I was kind of thinking
not?
Pittsburgh.
The Vikings do dumb shit all the
You
time.
want him to sign him. He's not a good NFL quarterback.
I think
That's why you want Minnesota to sign him.
Just a little bit.
Spoke up our ass.
Yeah,
but he's one of those guys.
Green Bay stays forever.
Randy, I'm
too.
going to let you in on a bet. I'm going to let you in on the best free tip you're going to hear all day long. Never bullshit another bullshitter, especially when he's better at it than you are.
I hope Jordan Love's a lifetime Packer. I hope he stays with the Packers forever. I hope they sign their coach forever. I hope they basically put a shrine up for Caleb Williams in Chicago. I hope. Although the Bears did get a dog today too. They signed Khalif Raymond from the Lions. So I was a little surprised with that dude's. He's a punt return, kick return guy.
Yep.
Third down wide receiver kind of guy, slot guy.
No one's talking about the Mike Evans trade. How about Mike Evans?
Dude, you saw. I mean, I thought he was going to leave the Bucs 2 years ago.
I know, but right now,
sick.
San Francisco has been missing receivers for 3 years now, and they finally got a big. I mean, just throw it up deep to him. That's going to change. That's going to make the middle of the field open. That was a great pick. I don't know what
Seattle's losing people left and right. That puts San Francisco in the driver's seat right now in that division.
I still don't
along
know
with the LA Rams.
What happened? I know the backup running back. They were doing the 2 thing with Kenneth Walker and what was the other kid?
Charbonnet.
UCLA kid. Yeah, was that a knee that he had going down? Because obviously they think he's okay. He's going to be okay.
He's good though. He's a good guy.
He's their number one. They'll pick up like a Pacheco or something here pretty soon. Floating around.
Position player.
Joe Mixon got cut by the Texans. So obviously with
David Montgomery
coming over. So when he was healthy, he didn't play last year. The year before that, he was unbelievable for the Texans. So it'll be interesting if maybe somebody.
I was surprised Tony George. I didn't see anything on Twitter throwing a party for Jawana Taylor being released from the Chiefs. I know he's one of your favorite offensive tackles in the league.
I drank a half a bottle of Basil Hayden bourbon in my basement once we got rid of him, celebrating. Get rid of that.
I saw when they released him, and I almost texted you, and I'm like, and I don't know where I was.
I've bitched about him all year.
And I was like, man, he's so happy right now.
Oh man.
He got more. Yeah, he was the guy. If you ever watched Chiefs on primetime TV that got all those penalties, it was him. And just so you guys know. Also signed Mr. Taylor Swift to another 1-year contract.
Yeah, $12 million to give Travis.
This is it, right? This is it, though. For him.
This is the finale tour.
One-off, with him and Walk. They're going to try and he didn't want to go out like that. I don't blame him. He still got some in the tank. One thing that kind of raised my eyebrows was ATN going to New Orleans. What's going to happen with Alvin Kamara?
I thought he'd come to the Lions as a backup to Jamar Gibbs, to be honest with you, because
He might
the Lions tend to
end up in
sign.
Seattle.
Right,
He
the
might
Lions
somebody.
tend to end.
I mean, they
we
didn't get
signed
him.
Adrian
They have
Peterson
to
after
know
this
he's gone.
time. All those guys.
Well, I thought Tyreek Hill, no one signed him right now. Like, he's obviously probably going to miss the first 4, 5, 6 games I'm hearing. But
Stephon
dude, if you could get him for nothing, basically, where you're only going to pick him up the last half of the season, and you're a good team that can keep him, focused straight and narrow. And I'm thinking Kansas City Chiefs reunion. I was like, dude, because he might come back for 1 year.
He was here with the enemy as OC when we won the Super Bowl.
What if you can get 1 year, $6.5, $7.5 million? Because he's getting the same money because he's already got that buyout money. Right. And then if he has a big year, he goes somewhere else, but he might have a championship.
Even better if you don't grab him till halfway through the year because he stays healthier. He only has to play half the year. If that's all you need him for, I'd rather him play half.
I would rather have him than
into the
Diggs.
Playoffs.
I'd rather have him than Diggs because even Diggs is like he's as much as people want to say Tyreek Hill wasn't a distraction when he was with Kansas City.
No. Andy Reid doesn't have distractions.
Yeah, like it was just because of that. Yeah. So I mean, Diggs was a problem before the season started last year.
Right.
It kind of stopped a little bit. Then you heard it a little bit with all the baby mama dramas. I just don't know what the market for him is out there. We haven't, I thought either someone would pick him up right away, and that didn't happen. Now he might wait a little.
That's fair.
And I think he wants to play on a good team too. So it's like you kind of got to wait on the good teams because they're trying to re-sign their own guys and the franchise tags, and it's like, so they might have to wait if he wants to be on a good team.
That's fair. There's about 15 NHL games on today. Anybody got anything in the NHL before we get on out of here? I mean, I have
Aiden Toronto's been so good. I don't know how. And I'm going to be honest. I get all the Docs guys' picks. There's only plays on Toronto tonight. There was 3 guys on Toronto, and I'm like, is someone not? Am I missing something?
They can't lose the rest of the season.
They can't lose every game, but I would not be playing them. Like it's one of those teams I'll watch until you win. I just don't. I'm not going to because you go on a 10-game losing
the same way.
Game. Like I would not.
The hottest team in the hockey.
Yeah, I would only play Buffalo. I wouldn't bet against Buffalo. There's no use standing in front of teams like that.
I've been playing those 60-minute regulation lines with great consistency.
Yeah.
Having a good run. Last night I had Washington against Calgary. You take that down from minus 185 down to the regulation, minus 110. Stick 4 units on it. Tonight,
it's the only way to play the NHL late in the year because the good teams, the lines are just so big.
Yeah.
And, even if you win 75% of the games, if you're laying minus 180 or minus 200, you won't make any money.
No, you got to play that line like that. Yep. Now, tonight is the first puck line I've had in a month and a half. I like one game a lot, and I think they just blow them out of the water. This first puck line I played in a month and a half. I'm right around 110 to 120 or taking a home dog. Always look for reasons to circle home dogs, but,
I haven't played a puck line, minus puck line all year.
No, I've played like 3 of them all year.
All of mine have been regulation plays now. Yeah. That wasn't a thing 3-4 years ago. That really wasn't a thing for handicappers, for even bettors. Like you could do it at certain books, but it wasn't. And the reason why we didn't give it out, I'm sure Tony's the same way, even though I wasn't here then. It wasn't widely accepted.
Not everybody has access to it.
Now, every book has that. Every book has it now. So, because it's basically
a lot of minus ones if you want to, but some books don't take that either. So we don't do that at Docs anymore. They did last year. They didn't do it this year.
Right.
Yeah.
Which you can still play. People say I can't get a minus 1. You can. You bet half on minus 1.5 and half on money line, and the average is a minus 1. It's the exact same. It just takes you just don't have to make 2 bets if and you can do that too against in soccer. Not every place offers the minus 1. Some do, some don't. That's where it really outside of this country where almost all bets are soccer plays. That's a huge thing.
You had a 7 on a total today in that Colorado-Edmonton game. You got a 7 out there today.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Edmonton I always say when you get 7s in hockey, it's like when you get 6.5s in baseball. You take the unders. When you see a 6.5, great, even some 6s out there, it's like they're begging you to take the over, and you still take the under. And you almost always win in those great pitching matchups. Same thing in the NHL. When I see a 7, I'm like, you got to play the over. Like
watch Colorado win 2-1.
Yeah, I mean it's possible, but it's just like you play the
I know.
long-term
Yeah.
angles there.
I want nothing to do with it. I just saw that and I go, well, they're begging you to play the under, but then
yeah.
The first game they played, it was 9-1.
Yeah,
Colorado won, but I mean, that was forever ago.
I kind of think they lose tonight because they got beat so bad.
Game. Yeah,
they got beat so bad. It's like, dude, this is a check your manhood type game. If you're Edmonton and this is the type of team you're going to have to go through in the playoffs. If you get beat 9-1 again, season's over for you. Might as well back it up.
For sure. Okay. Tony George, what do you got going on at the website before we get out of here?
I've got a 5-pack in college basketball, all 3 and 2 unit plays. I gave you one of them if you were paying attention. That's why it pays to tune in to Doc's Daily right here on our YouTube channel. I got a 2-pack in the prop market tonight. I got a 4-unit NHL rare puck line play. We're on a nice roll in the NHL. Hit a 6 and a 7-unit pick both last week in the NHL, which I think I'd have 5. I had 5 top picks all year long before that. So I've dialed in and really feeling it there. And then a 3-unit NBA play today, and that's what's on deck. Of course, again, SEC preview will be up this afternoon.
Yep.
He's going to post
next hour or two.
Yeah, and then I'll be giving you daily recaps and daily free plays in the SEC tournament, along with a few others, of course, right here on the YouTube channel. So, stay in touch with me by tuning in to the YouTube channel. We'll get you some coverage in the SEC. I know other guys got the Big 12 and the ACC and so on and so forth. And of course, I'll be down at the Big 12 tournament starting tomorrow every day till they crown a champion here in Kansas City. Got box seat passes. Looking forward to going.
Go watch those Bearcats. Hey, will you do me a favor? Let's make sure they lose because I really don't want to. I want to move on from Wes Miller.
I want to move on. Can we just get it over?
I want to bring back Bob Huggins. Is what I really
Greg's
want.
Just rip the Band-Aid off.
First of all, I'm going to put out
if Utah hangs a number on you today, he will be gone.
Yeah, I think he's probably gone either way if it doesn't make sense. But the PSA is there's a Bob Huggins documentary out there, and it's the who's who of college coaches is on it. Bill Self, all these guys are his buddies. And I've seen the stuff, dude. It looks unbelievable. So it's supposed to be out here. I'm guessing it'll probably be late March, early April to take advantage of the NCAA tournament, like the increased coverage. So it's going to be a great one. But tonight, Lenny, I would say have fun tonight just before you in the NBA. Just don't go crazy. This is a tough night in college basketball because there's a few of the championship games, but you're playing, and they're from the smaller conferences, and then of course West Coast Conference. They're the middle of the run, but everybody else is playing on the first day of these tournaments for a reason. You don't have a lot of faith in these type of teams. We see some big upsets in these rounds, and then sometimes they end up not only winning one game, they win 2 because they face, they get hot and then they have a big advantage.
And let's recap that $100 bet that Lenny and I got. My Huskers go further than the Sparty in the Big Ten tournament. Why not?
Are they on the same? Are they in the same side of the bracket? I didn't even look at the Big Ten bracket.
I don't even know.
Because that'd be great if they go head to head.
Oh my God! I had that down.
Now I gotta look.
I will say this: I like Nebraska more in the Big Ten tournament than I do in the NCAA tournament. I think. In the Big Ten tournament, they've just been great in the Big Ten this year. Underdog favorite, it hasn't mattered. I kind of worry about them in the NCAA tournament.
Saw there was a guy on CBS Sportsline, one of their videos. I go over there and I look at some of their NASCAR stuff, and they had this video pop, or their golf stuff, pardon me. And over at CBS, they had a guy, and they had all the teams there. He goes, "Who's your surprise Final Four team?" He goes, "Nebraska." Wow. I go, well, I like the guy, but he's crazy.
Yeah. I think if they got to the Sweet 16, it would be an amazing year for them.
Unbelievable for Nebraska. Best year ever by a mile.
Because they hadn't won a conference tournament until
the semifinals.
All right. They hadn't won an NCAA tournament for forever, right? Until just a couple of years ago. So, to make it to the Sweet 16 would be the next step.
One win in the NCAA tournament, the entire history of the program.
Yeah, and that was just a few years ago.
Bear in mind, Hoiberg, they won that Crown tournament in Vegas last year.
I think he gets them to the Sweet 16.
He's got a veteran team.
And they put the statue outside if he gets the Sweet 16 this year. They just
Tony, when are you coming to Vegas? Tony, when are you coming to Vegas?
When Michigan State meets Nebraska in the semis in about 3 days.
No, it'll be Saturday. It would be the semifinals would be Saturday, March 14th. Would be if all things, if everybody won to where they got to be, it would be Michigan State.
Are they playing Nebraska, in Chicago or Indianapolis?
In the semifinals, they're playing.
The Big Ten tournament's in Chicago.
There you go.
Oh no, what's in Indy? The MAC is in Indy, maybe, or is it the Horizon?
We play the football. We play the football Big Ten championship.
They go back and forth between Chicago and Indy for the Big Ten basketball.
Somebody's
that's where you need to show up and match up because one, there's sports betting legal in Chicago, so you're good to go to bet there and go to the game. That'll be awesome.
The Horizon League is playing in Indianapolis. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Detroit Mercy and Wright State tonight play in Indianapolis, where Detroit Mercy is going to win.
Okay. I'm going to get you there for a pizza money bet too.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, check out that free $60 account, DocSports.com/free60. Both these guys, you can get both these guys premium plays. Use that 60, split it up between the two. Get on either one, day pass, week pass, season pass. You do you, Pikachu. Free $60 account. Link is in the description of the video. We will be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern. Raphael Esparza will be joining me and Nick Menken. Good luck, unless you're against us. Take care, folks.